Because if after the break, then we'd only have an hour and a half of filming. So then at 1:30 would be.
The key for us is organization, and I know they roll their eyes when they think of organization when it comes to me. But honestly, if you're not completely like over organized, something's going to go wrong, and you're not going to be prepared for it.
It at times really did feel like a bank heist. Because we were looking at our clocks, we were going, especially beforehand, you're planning, like in a scene from a bank heist movie, you really are going around like, how are we going to do this? We know the goal, which is to make a film. I think organization was instrumental. I think it's instrumental to most films, but because we were shooting in one location the whole time, and we were shooting out of order, literally just planning when we are shooting what, how long takes will take, and if we will get out of here in time. And a lot of that was beforehand, we all sat around in a circle, put it all together and go, okay, we have what, like 50 scenes here. When are we going to shoot them over these 2 weeks? What are we gonna do?
Gonna need somebody to help as well, so we can kind of like all kind of get together, just figure out like who's gonna be in charge of what, you know, so. It's really tricky when you're doing your scheduling. You have to make sure that the right scenes are done at the right time, have enough time in between scenes so that way people can catch their breath, prepare for the next thing. Because I think a lot of people try to cram too much in a day. I feel like psychologically and physically, people need to understand that even expecting to have that break in between motivates them to work on the last scene to the fullest. It's important to finish on time because it affects everyone on a psychological level because they feel like they've accomplished something. You know, when you run over and you don't get the work done, it is discouraging. We had to lay out the day on minute by minute, hour by hour. We needed breaks in between, we needed time to breathe. The actors needed time to mentally recharge, and also making sure that all the equipment and everything works. Having worked with Graham, he tends to take his time at the beginning of the day and really not rush everyone. But then once everyone is in the groove, we can start moving faster and hitting our marks and even finishing early in some scenes. Once they get into the mode of performing, there's no stopping them. Having done a lot of films and understanding the value of being well prepared, we made sure that we didn't leave any stone unturned. A lot of the crew members were wondering, why did we focus on certain things and why did we spend so much time? Later on, when they came across that same situation that we were considering, they realized that it was important to really understand how to maneuver and navigate through certain situations that normally people don't take into consideration. There's no such thing as too much preparation. What you don't use, but what you lack will hurt you. So you want to make sure that you cover all your bases.
Organization is everything, right? That's like the first thing they teach you in film school. And it actually is true. And that's one of the things I first realized about filmmaking, right? If you want to make a feature, especially if you want to make a low budget feature that looks like a high budget feature, organization is key, right? So you don't waste days, you don't waste time, you don't waste people, you don't waste anything. So learning that from firsthand is completely different, right? It was a very good experience for me because having Alex, having Graham around, of course, helped a lot because they already have been in the industry so long. And so for me, the first weeks of breakdown of like doing all the organization was watching them and asking them questions about like how do we go about it, right? To make everything fit in the budget and all the things, all the key things. Like when we are reading the script, what do we have to break down? Like what are the things that we have to think about? Like, so organization to me meant everything for this production, everything, especially because my role on it was doing continuity, kind of be like a prop master type of thing. And yeah, I'm like being on top of everything, right? So the boxes, huge thing. Organization means boxes nowadays in my head, right? Having like the moving in situation organized, make it make sense, right? Because it's like we have to think about these people moving in. How many days have they passed since they moved in? What happens? Why did they open each box and what do they take out? So what are we gonna start seeing in the movie and what's gonna remain on the boxes and what boxes are gonna disappear and where they're going, right? So all these things, if you tell me like, hey, let's film this movie tomorrow, if I didn't have that organization, I would be like, hey, there's no way we can make this happen and actually make the movie make sense, right? So organization for sure was key.
Continuity is so important, especially when you're in a story that is painting a lot with its backgrounds, where you can tell when something's been lived in or when they just moved in. A lot of little details in the background subconsciously with the viewer will influence how they feel. Are these characters comfortable in their space? And even the actors on the day. And so that was very important. We wanted to make sure to get that right. And Ashley Hoskins, she did a great job of creating a system to file what day is it, at what stage in the story are we, what page in the story are we in the script as well. And just kind of matching those one for one. And we'd say like, okay, now zone 2 or whatever, and then Ashley would run and be like, okay, hold everything, or she'd run and she'd grab, she'd know exactly what, and then sometimes, I mean, she did a great job because sometimes I think people would move props by accident and she'd be like, everybody, you can't move these props, like, pay attention, like, and so it was good. It's kind of what we needed, I think.
So practical light and natural lighting actually helped me a lot, to be honest with you, because having less equipment on set was easier to work around, right? Especially with the prop moving and stuff like that, because organizing and moving things and keeping track of those things that moved when you have heavy light equipment, it really like can mess many things up. So, and I also, to be honest with you, I also think that we use the practical light as best as we could. Like, I think every single shot looked beautiful lit. And the funniest thing is that we only had 3 lamps on, right? And we used one light, one key light, that's it. So that's the funny part of it, right? That many people think that for making a movie you need to have all this money, all these big lights, all these huge equipment, grip people, hanging lights and stuff like that, but you really don't need that. You just need a good story, good actors, good director, good organization, and being creative, right? Thinking of what you have and you're actually using what you have, right? We also were so lucky because we were filming in a location that had so much access to natural lighting. It had surrounded by windows that we kind of covered, by the way, to make it look more like an apartment, but we still have access to these windows. So that helped us a lot with the natural lighting, and because we were also filming when summer was starting to come, the hours during the day were longer, which also helped us a lot and make it look as beautiful as it probably would.